Hello and welcome to the show. We start this week's Canyon Rally with an estate car. This is a slightly different configuration for the Sunburst, and it's nice to have another super estate in this game. It's also got quite a lot of power. Not quite as much as the crazy V10 Sunburst that I drove a while ago, but it's certainly not that far off, as there is a lot of acceleration up towards the crest at turn 1, although a tiny lock-up of the brakes as I went to take the corner caused me a little bit of issues ending up across the rather bumpy dirt section. Ate our own front bumper, and somehow the rear bumper managed to stay attached. I'm still not quite sure how we got away with that one. We did, and survived the opening couple of corners, although wouldn't survive the bridge jump. Wasn't quite prepared for the acceleration in this car. Way too much speed across the jump. Quite awkwardly on the landing, and the car launched up into the air, and just about everything that can be broken on the car was in that impact. Yeah, that's quite an unhappy Sunburst. Next time around, we did actually crack the 100-mile-an-hour mark as we got over the hill, although it was trying to get slowed down for turn 2 as, again, snagged the brake, and the car just got tipped that little bit too much to the right. I couldn't save it in time, and there's so much speed going on there and so little road to play with, as this time we do burst into flames with quite a spectacular tumble down the canyon side. There is, so little time to do anything about rescuing a car when it lets go at that particular moment in time. Now, there is, as I said, plenty of speed, 120 miles an hour down this section. When a bump catches me out, it's the smallest of movements that the bump causes the car to do, but that sort of snowballs into a massive roll. Amazingly, the car actually in pretty good shape. Yeah, we've got a cracked windscreen, the radiator's damaged, and we're losing a couple of bits of bodywork. The alignment was actually still incredibly good on the car, all things considered. Next run out, and it was a truly incredible save for the car. We had to sacrifice the front left wheel that got completely bent backwards, but managed to save it from being so far on its side. Is pretty damn impressive going. As we leave the pond hairpin, a little bit of understeer from the Sunburst. Not too bad, though, on this car. It was getting caught out on the dirt on the landing of that bump that caused issues as it spins and just goes over the edge. In fact, it was the wheel sort of folding underneath the car that caused it to get launched onto its roof. And, well, once we're off down here, it is not going to be a good day for the Sunburst. It's surprisingly easy with these sort of dirt either side of the road. If you just stick a wheel across there at some of the speeds this car will get up to, it just sort of, you can't pull the car off the dirt very easily. You can kind of get sucked along that part of the road, just unable to get the car back under control. So yeah, something definitely to watch out for. I have to say, the handling on this car was excellent. Often with the high-powered all-wheel drive cars, they can be quite understeery. In fact, just general cars on here can be quite understeery, and there are a couple of nasty corners on this track, and it really wasn't too much of a problem for the Sunburst. It did a really remarkable job, and after the initial couple of runs as well, brakes pretty solid on this. They wasn't having too many problems with lockups, and they certainly shrugged off plenty of speed. This is one of the places that understeer can be a big problem for, well, just about anything. And, that's pretty solid speed around that corner with the Sunburst. Much neater across the dirt section. We run up towards the second of the hairpins. Again, getting close towards that 100-mile-an-hour mark. Not the very fastest car that we've seen, but certainly doing very, very well as we leave the tunnel hairpin. It is down. This is the quickest part on the course. You saw it's up to 120 miles an hour last time. This time it's 127, making sure to miss the bump on the outside. We do actually hit the bump on the inside that throws the car about. Managed to keep up speed, though. You can get away with ever so slightly running along the sort of slightly banked part of the canyon. It's 106 miles an hour across the line, which is very, very good going. Yeah, got away with carrying speed by running along the banked part of the canyon, although if you run too high up along that, or you don't get off it soon enough, you are going to have a tremendous accident. So it was a little bit lucky to get away with that. Yeah, the bumps could be quite nasty to this. It's very much a road-going sports saloon. It's not designed really to be to be dealing with the nasty bumps and the jumps and so on of a rally course. But speaking of not designed to deal with a rally course, our next vehicle is, yeah, not particularly well suited. The Ford Capri, the Group 5 or DRM Capri. This is a very, very, very fast car, but its suspension is not designed to deal with jumps. You could also see how low the front of the car is, and in general the bodywork is very, very low ride height, but crazy acceleration, 130 miles an hour up towards the turn 1 crest. Got away with the bump on the outside, but the bump on the inside would actually do a huge amount of damage to the front left wheel. We stopped really steering after that. I don't quite know what it bent. I don't know if it was bodywork kind of getting caught underneath the car, or whether it snapped something in the suspension. Something broke and the car didn't steer from that. So yeah, gonna have to be very, very careful with this. Now, unlike the Formula 1 car, this could actually take some speed across the jumps, although that was a little bit too much speed across that one. We actually broke the wheels up in the most amusing of manners that made the steering all sorts of wonky. Yeah, that's not going to be conducive to going any direction that you want it to go in when everything is bent up that badly. While yeah, that was too much speed. This could survive small impacts with the ground, although small impacts with a sign, not so good for the Capri. That sign has claimed so many victims. I mean, this one here, it literally just tore the entire back end of the car off. And we also lost the engine. I was trying to spin the camera around to find where the engine went. In that crash, the entire engine fell out the bottom as well as it was tumbling down there. I couldn't, though, see where the engine might have ended up, and that was all from being, I don't know, 10 centimetres too wide on the run into turn 2 and just clipping the sign. Yeah, it's a dangerous bloody signpost up there. Quite a sorry state for the poor Capri. This is perhaps the fastest car we have ever had down this course. It's 170 miles an hour into this final section, although at 170 miles an hour, when you clip a bump slightly wrong, that can tear off the rear wing of the car, and then we lose the downforce, and then we go very sideways and have another incredibly spectacular accident. You tend not to get small crashes with a car like this. It is just going so incredibly fast at just about every point on the course. All in all, though, it wasn't actually too bad to drive down here. Perhaps a little bit more forgiving than the Formula 1 car, in that it could survive bumps a little bit better. You still had to be very, very careful, no doubt about that. But it could take a lot more speed over them, and it still had a lot of grip through these corners, still carrying lots of corner speed and, you know, phenomenal acceleration. It's 70 miles an hour, sorry, across that jump, and it will land. Yeah, the door's pinged open, but that is a minor thing. When the Formula 1 car had to slow down to pretty much a crawl to make it across there, this could get away with it. The huge sort of front splitter arrangement not getting caught on the ground as I might have feared. Did have to be a little bit slower across the dirt section, but once it's across that, it's up to 134 miles an hour before we jump on the brake. The sunburst was quick, but this is in just a completely different league as we now run down this back straight. It is all the way up to 150 miles an hour, but a big slide meant I had to have a go on the brakes. And I want to be neater into this section, be slower into this section, meant I could carry more speed. I mean, this is the first car to be really carrying, well, first car inside the Formula 1 car to be able to carry that much speed through those twisty sections, about 134, 135 miles an hour across the line, and actually controlled as well from the Capri. We didn't go soaring off into the scenery and smashing the car up after the line. It was, you know, able to carry that speed around the final turn. An incredibly impressive piece of machinery, as you would expect, let's face it, from the Group 5 race car. Dealt with the bumps pretty well, all things considered. Yeah, but you can see the car bucking around and being very uncomfortable over them. However, it could still carry speed. You could have big accidents if you lost control of it over them, but there we go. And finally, we have got the Pigeon. But this is not an ordinary Pigeon. This is the GRX one. It has a equivalent of a high-powered motorbike engine in it. And as you see here, it is quite a lot of acceleration for a three-wheeled vehicle. Now, the actual configuration for this comes with stabilizers, but that, I felt, you know, a little bit cheating, really. So I have taken them off and going to have to try and manage without them. Again, you know, we're talking like 80 miles an hour before we get on the brakes into turn 2. That is a lot of speed for a Pigeon, and too much speed into the corner. While the car does actually have very, very good turn in, the problem is that it hasn't got the stability to carry the speed. It's like physically got the tyre grip, but it hasn't actually got the stability to get around the corner. Another thing you don't want to have happen is 2 of your tyres puncture as soon as you hit the landing. That is not good for a controlled landing. Yeah, there was a big bounce on that landing as well, and you're just not going to have time in a normal car to get control there, let alone in a Pigeon. And trying to get this jump right was quite difficult, as you can imagine. We do get it relatively neatly this time out, however, the front tyre was punctured on the landing, and then we lose all steering. You can't get away with that. The vehicle will just no longer turn whatsoever. It's bad enough if you lose one tyre on a four-wheeled vehicle, let alone using the only tyre that's giving you steering. So, yeah, it's not what you want to be doing. Equally, because of the lack of any weight over the rear, this is a pretty rough course in a couple of places, and the Pigeon does tend to get bounced around a little bit. I just lost the back end coming up towards the bridge jump. Surprisingly, it is still working, and I say still working quite loosely. The engine is working and it's still driving wheels. The front steering is, yeah, none too happy, and then I managed to beach it completely on an almost flat surface. That's how buckled the chassis was at that point. You can see the back end kind of hopping around where there are these little bumps in the terrain. Equally, caution was needed across the dirt section because of, well, that. If the back end starts bouncing, it's very, very difficult to get it all back under control again, especially when you're dealing with a Pigeon that is as fast as this one, that is trying to pick up speed at the rate that this one is. You just can't quite deal with that, so got to be a little bit slower across the bumps. And as I was trying to get quick times with this car, that sort of thing was quite easy to do. You're just carrying, 5 miles an hour too much for the car. You just can't keep all of its wheels on the ground, and this final section is really not the Pigeon's strong point. Lots of medium speed corners causing problems. I just about got it around that turn, although as you go to make the final corner, lose the back end and, well, spin and crashed it and flipped it all the way across the line. Yeah, that's a messy, messy end to a run down the canyon. Almost I kind of got the hang of the the parts at the top of the course. This was really, really tough for the Pigeon because of the speed that it is taking and the lack of stability. It's a huge amounts of speed down here that it is that is approaching these corners with that you simply can't use. But you can't jump on the brakes too aggressively because then you're going to lose control of the back end of the car. So there's a very, very fine line to be treading. And even when I was trying to be careful across the dirt section, still didn't mean that things couldn't go wrong for the poor vehicle. However, did make an interesting variant of the Pigeon in this crash, because I managed to kind of squash and bend the roof back. We lowered the centre of mass considerably, and it actually drove, surprisingly well for a three-wheeled vehicle. I think I did bend up some sort of geometry of the suspension and whatnot, so it was a little bit more bouncy than it should have been, but it didn't want to lift up too much. It didn't want to roll at the higher speed, so that is actually a slightly better design in some ways if you worked out the suspension. Not that you could fit a person in there, but yeah, surprisingly the crash sort of improved the handling in an odd way. You can see the speed that we've got going on here. It's 90 miles an hour as we get to this turn 1 crest. It's only 10 miles an hour down on the the sunburst, and that is a fast car up there. So you get the idea of the acceleration going on in this Pigeon. The issue is, of course, that you can't take that through the corners because it's simply going to fall over. So you've got to slow it down as much as you need to make around these turns so the car doesn't lift up, and then try and make the most of the crazy acceleration down towards the next corner. Now, this part here was very important to get the speed spot on, because we cannot afford to have a tyre puncture, and it was quite easy to puncture the tyres on the landing of that jump. everything went well with the Pigeon this time out. Make sure you get the car slowed down for the hairpin here. It's easy to try and get carried away, try to build up the speed too soon, and you're never going to make this corner, or you're going to end up on your side. And again, slowly does it across the dirt section. The bumps are quite mean to this vehicle. Once again, on the accelerator, it's 90 miles an hour nearly into the tunnel hairpin. Phenomenal acceleration in this. It actually puts its power down relatively well when the back end's not bouncing around. You know, we don't get crazy wheel spin from the car. It is putting its power down quite nicely as we now head up to the toughest corners for the car. Had to have a lift. I just can't turn the steering too much. This is all about being as precise and as delicate with the steering as you can be through here while still trying to maintain speed. And this is where the Pigeon is really losing time to kind of conventional cars. The back end is kind of moving around a little bit on its own, but it's the risk of it going up on its side. That is the big problem around that section. We can accelerate off towards the line. We will make the final corner at some 86 miles an hour, which is not bad going, actually, crossing the line with that sort of speed. And amazingly, keep the Pigeon all under control. And for a celebration, we have to have a roll with the three-wheeled vehicle. Yeah, monstrously fast, accelerating a real handful when it comes to dealing with the corners, as you would expect with a Pigeon. And we're going to have a better tumble there to finish. Did manage to puncture the rear left tyre in that particular roll. Yeah, crazy car. Tried to go for some celebratory donuts, but it was definitely not having any of them. We saw just how strong the Pigeon is when it's involved in crashes. Anyway, it is on to the times, and we do have a new leader at the top of the table. The Capri set to 122.1. That is a monstrous time down this course. It goes significantly faster than the Formula car. The Ford can carry speed across the jumps, across the bumps, and the FR16 can't. That is where that time is made up. And the Capri can still carry a lot of corner speed. I'm not sure which is quite faster through the turns themselves, but the Capri survives the nasty stuff on the course far better. We don't have to look too far down to find the Sunburst Estate, though. That is in 12th place. Couldn't quite break into the top 10 at 134.7. It's same time as the 200BX drag car. It beats the Bolide, beats the K-Series. It's not that far down on the V10 Sunburst, even. It's a good showing from the estate car. A very, very nice all-wheel drive super estate. And the Pigeon GRX is down in 52nd place, a 2-minute 0.4. I had hoped that might be a little bit faster than that. I think it's just too difficult to get through the final corners with any speed. It is just about 3 seconds faster than the standard Pigeon, but considering all of the power in the GRX, you just can't use it down the course. It's just too difficult to get it through the corners. So, yeah, there we go. That is going to be it for this video, guys. As ever, I'll put links to all the mods in the description so you can download them, have a go with them yourself. But that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.